Wolverine is a solid but safe, overproduced Insomniac action game that leads hard into gory character work while still feeling like every other modern day AAA title. Combat looks vicious and satisfying. Clawing people apart, range mechanics, destructible environments. Previews praise Logan's characterization and the acting and the dark tone. It's linear by design. No open city like Spider-Man, which fits the lone wolf berserker better than forced open world padding. That's fine on paper. But the problems start with how predictable it is. Same mission structure, or same cinematic set pieces, same feel like the character. Marketing they've done 3 times already. It's like boss fights you encounter already getting kind of repetitive or dated in the early hands-on. Combat depth is being questioned. It's like, heavy on basic attacks. Parries, just like, okay, like why is that the focus? Limited variety once the novelty of limb lopping wears off. It's competent Insomniac polish, not anything that pushes the genre. And yes, the Force woke gay garbage is in the DNA. Sweet Baby Inc. consulted narrative staff who openly push maximal gay representation, weird representation, retarded representation, race swap characters, dumb. Redesigned woman that got roasted as deliberately desexed or grocery store auntie versions. The usual checklist approach to casting and writing. Wolverine himself gets the soft treatment and places people calling out, low testosterone vibes in moments where they're forced the loner anti-hero into compliant, modern audience friendly beats. That's not organic storytelling. That's ideology first, character second. Same pattern that tanked other SBI touch projects. Releases September 15th, 2026 on PS5. It'll sell and get the usual 8 out of 10s from outlets, that never noticed the agenda. Whether it's actually good once the full game is out is another question. Right now, it's looking like a high production value product. That values the checklist and the formula over pure unfiltered Wolverine. And a follow up to that is the game is shaping up as high budget. High polish. I tell you that product, that understands the surface fantasy of Wolverine better than most recent Marvel media. Then undercuts itself with the same institutional habits that have allowed a lot of Western AAA. Combat is the strongest part in previews. The claws feel heavy. It's like you get close, you carve, environments break, and, rage builds into something closer to an actual berserk state instead of a simple damage buff. Healing factor is baked, into the loop, so you can stay aggressive without constantly babysitting health. Finishing moves and dismemberment look properly nasty for an M-rated game. That part works. Why is he with Jean Grey? Anyway, the part works. It sells the fantasy of being a short, angry, nearly unkillable animal. Better than the old Origins game. Did in pure mechanical terms, Everything around that core is more mixed. This structure is deliberately linear and mission focused. No big open city to swing through. No base to poke around in for hours. That decision makes sense for Logan. He's not a neighborhood protector who needs vertical playgrounds. But the trade-off is that the game already feels like a sequence of set-piece corridors, and scripted set pieces rather than a place you inhabit. Early boss encounters, like, for example, Sentinel fights, especially. Are already drawing comparisons, to older, simpler action games. Combat variety is a recurring question. Lots of, basic, light, heavy, parry, dodge abilities, or attacks, abilities with long cooldowns, limited aerial options. It's corny. Once the novelty of the gore wears off, the loop risks becoming, repetitive button work dressed up in expensive animations. New Game Plus and Mission Replay exists, which helps, but those are band-aids, not solutions to depth. Character work is, where the split is sharpest. Liam McIntyre's performance and the facial animation are getting consistent praise. Logan comes across clinical, closed-off, violent, and occasionally vulnerable, without turning into a therapy case. The writing tries to keep the emotional darkness and moral ambiguity that actually define the character. When it sticks to that, it works. When it doesn't, the seams show. This is where the forced progressive overlay, becomes obvious and corrosive. Sweet Baby Inc. consulted on the project. Narrative staff, including people who have publicly stated developers should pull every lever, quote unquote, for LGBTQ representation. They're in the credits. That shows up in their usual ways. It's corny. I hate them. Race swapped supporting characters, for example, Callisto, redesigned a woman who got widely mocked for looking retarded or masculine, Jean Grey. It was a particular flashpoint years ago, and it still lingers. Mystique designs that, left a lot of people cold. The pattern is the same one that hit other SBI adjacent titles, priority on demographic checkboxes and sensitivity over visual fidelity to the sorcerer basic hotness that comics always delivered without apology. Wolverine himself is not immune. Some preview moments already feel like the writers are sanding the edges. So the grumpy, loner stays acceptable to the modern studio culture. The low testosterone complaints floating around aren't just meme rage. They're reactions to a character whose entire appeal is raw, unapologetic masculinity and violence being filtered through current institutional preferences, as in Wolverine. So when a studio that has already absorbed the DEI cornball stuff, consultant layers start shaping dialogue and character beats, the result is rarely more authentic. It's usually softer, more explanatory, more concerned with not offending, the wrong internal groups, or if I put it more bluntly, the lower tier, aka blacks, women, and gays. or the LGBTQ. The broader context makes it worse. Insomniac has, the talent and the track record. They proved with Spider-Man that they can deliver character-driven superhero or a character-driven superhero game at a high level. They also proved that they'll just, absorb the same consulting and narrative trends that have turned on other big Western titles into checklist exercises. The online backlash is, sometimes exaggerated, I guess. Nah, it's not, But the core complaints about design philosophy and ideological filtering are not invented. Like when fans point at the consultants, the public statements from narrative leads and the visible design changes. They're reacting to real documented choices, not phantoms. So the end result, based on everything shown so far, is a game that will probably be competent to good at the pure action level. Visually expensive and narratively uneven, obviously. But the best version of this project would have been pure, unfiltered Logan. Ugly, mean, sexually charged, supporting cast, where it fits the comics. Zero concern for consulting firms or representation quotas. Instead, we get the expensive version that still has to run the content through the current studio filter. That filter is why so many of these games end up feeling safe, even when they're covered in blood. That violence is allowed. The actual attitude often isn't. September 15th. If September 15th will tell the story, it'll tell the final story. Right now, looks like another cornball gay case of a studio that knows how to make Claus feel good and look good. But still can't resist the institutional pressure to sand the character down in the places that matter.